I'm Caroline Pennington, Communications Director at Farmers RECC, and welcome to Powering the Good podcast. Farmers RECC is a not-for-profit electric cooperative serving more than 27,000 meters across portions of 11 South Central Kentucky counties with safe, affordable, reliable electricity. With Powering the Good, we plan to bring you stories from Farmers RECC members, employees, and community leaders who are doing good things in our community. We'll provide listeners with a closer look at how we power our communities and the lives of our members, and we want your ideas too. So if you know of somebody in our community that is doing good things, please reach out to us at social@farmersrecc.net. We would love to hear their stories and maybe feature them on the podcast. You can also find more details about the podcast on all of our Farmers RECC social media channels and on our website at farmersrecc.com. As an electric distribution utility, safety is our first and most important priority. So we want to take a moment at the beginning of each podcast episode for a safety moment. So we'll take a quick break for a safety moment, and we'll be back in just a minute to start the podcast.
Driving close to power lines is usually safe, but accidents can happen unexpectedly. Do you know what to do if you come across downed power lines? Step 1, stay inside your vehicle for safety. It's often safer than being outside with live cables. Simultaneously, dial 911 for immediate assistance. Step 2, also ensure that no one approaches the vehicle. It's advisable to maintain a distance of at least 50 feet from the car. Step 3, if there's smoke or gas, you'll need to prepare to exit the vehicle. Stand near the car's edge, cross your arms around your body, and when ready, jump out of the vehicle. Land firmly on both feet and maintain a hopping motion with both feet. Ensure you keep a safe distance of at least 50 feet from the vehicle and wait until assistance arrives.
Welcome back to Powering the Good podcast with Farmers RECC. We're joined this morning by our president and CEO, Toby Moss. So Toby, if you would, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, you kind of already said it, Caroline. I'm Toby Moss. I'm the president and CEO of Farmers Rural Electric. I've been here just shy of 3 years. January will be 3 years that I've been blessed to be at Farmers Rural Electric. Came here from another co-op in another state where I was in charge of technology there for 7 years. And before that, I was in commercial industry working with IOUs, munis, and co-ops throughout the country. So I've been in the electric utility industry for over 20 years, and then I was in telecommunications for about 10 years before that. So I've been thrilled to be part of utilities in the United States for over 30 years.
Awesome. So if you could give us a little bit of a history of Farmers RECC.
Farmers RECC incorporated in 1938. That was part of the Rural Electrification Act that actually came out in 1936, which was to power rural America. So a bipartisan act was established called the Rural Electrification Act, which provided for low interest loans to go out to rural America for them to long-term low interest loans for them to build out the electric grid in rural America. So Farmers, as I said, incorporated in 1938. They powered their first just over 100 members in early of 1939, and it's been growing ever since. As you said, we have over 27,000 members now within the Farmers footprint.
Absolutely. So co-ops kind of are at the root of a lot of communities. You know, we power rural America. That's kind of our mission. So can you tell us a little bit about how Farmers RECC and other cooperatives serve their communities?
Well, I mean, at its core, Farmers is in the community. There's predominantly three types of electric utility in the United States. And those are called IOUs, investor-owned utilities, munis, which are municipals, and cooperatives. Cooperatives, one of their core values, really, that they incorporate is that they are in the communities that they serve. So the employees all live here. We're all part of the community. We're blessed to have, just in our cooperative here at Farmers, we have, their day job is to work at Farmers Rural Electric, and then on the weekends and the afternoons and the evenings, they're farmers, they're volunteer firefighters, they're coaches, they're youth pastors, they're
school board members,
you name it. They're involved in the community, as we all are. And so not only do we as employees of Farmers dedicate ourselves during the day to trying to enhance our community by making sure that power is, safely delivered, and consistent in quality and for the cheapest price possible that we can do. But also, as soon as we go home, we're doing other things in our community to, because this is where we live and we want to better our community.
Absolutely. So you kind of hit on it, but what makes cooperatives really different maybe from other business models, from maybe a traditional business model?
Well, we're not for profit to start with. So everything we do, we something that we focus on. I know myself and our senior staff, as well as all the employees, we focus on every dollar that we come in as members' money. And it's important for us to be able, again, since we live in the communities we serve, it's important for us to be able to look our neighbors in the eye and know that we're not wasting their money. And so, to me, that's one of the key features. Same thing, by the way, with outages and how we do restoration and everything. Again, if our neighbor's power's out, so's ours. And so we have a vested interest not only to make sure that our power for our neighbors back on, but we want our own lights back on as well. So, again, as being a cooperative, we live and serve in the communities that we cover.
Absolutely. And cooperatives are governed by a board of directors, right? So that's also a little bit different maybe than another traditional business model. So, for instance, an investor-owned utility answers to shareholders, whereas we don't do that. We're a little bit different. So can you speak to that at all?
Yeah, so we have a 7-member board. So the board is locally elected, and once again they
and they're members themselves.
And they are members. They have to be and it's divided by territory. We have 3 primary districts that we have our board served from. And again, they give me the direction. They're my boss, so they give me the direction on how they want the company to look in the long term, and then it's my job to execute that. But once again, they serve in their community. They're answerable to their constituents on how the cooperative is run.
Absolutely. And then, of course, instead of shareholders, we have members. Of course, our members own us, and that's a little bit different in a cooperative business model as well. So,
right.
Definitely not your traditional business model, if you would say so. So, how does Farmers RECC, and you've spoken to it a little bit, but how does Farmers RECC power the good in our communities, maybe above and beyond maybe what our employees do outside?
Well, our community engagement, one of the things that I'm very proud of is, we're going to, and I think you're going to talk about in another podcast, is things like, I'm a veteran myself, so one of the things that's near and dear to my heart is our Honor Flight program that we support, getting veterans to go and visit DC, see all the things that this country, that they, put up their right hand and swore to defend at some time in their life. And that's very near and dear to my heart. Other programs that we do scholarships that we're just blessed to be able to give scholarships to some of the local students going into college. We do support the Ronald McDonald House. That's another thing that actually I think is a very valid and worthy cause. We have a little program with backpacks, for example, that we give to students every year and try to get them set up for the school year to be successful. So that's just some of the things that we do in the community. Really just trying to enhance our community and do what we can in a small way to really support the growth and prosperity of our community that we serve.
Sure, absolutely. So why a podcast? That's not maybe a traditional communications channel for an electric cooperative. So why a podcast?
Well, as I was saying earlier, Farmers RECC started in 1938, and that's almost a typical story for all the cooperatives in the United States. There's over 900 cooperatives in the United States, and they all have pretty much the same story. They started around 1938 and were there to serve rural America. When they started, they had certain elements that were for the purpose of communicating with the community. And they would do things like, for example, annual meetings and so on. And that was for the purpose, and that was an event where people would come to town and be involved in that. In today's society, that's just not as much of a thing as it used to be. And so, what we need to do is we need to grow with the world around us. And podcast is one of the ways, along with other social media platforms that we use, to communicate with our members and really make sure that they understand that, what most people think about, and what I've experienced is most people think, well, if I flip a switch and light goes on, that's all I need to know about the world. And on the one hand, I certainly support that because I don't want you to ever worry about it. And just know that when you flip the switch, the light's going to go on. But on the other hand, I think it's important to understand, again, to what you were saying earlier, what's different about an IOU and a muni and a cooperative on, what we do to make sure that when you flip that switch, the light goes on. Mm-hmm. And podcast is just another medium where we can talk about that with our members and really, help them to know what we're about and feel comfortable that, that the situation's well in hand. We're taking care of their money, we're taking care of their cooperative, we're taking care of the employees, and we're taking care of our members. And this is just another, for me, from my perspective, you can't say that too much. We need to make sure that people understand what we're about and they have the opportunity to ask questions of us and talk to us about the state of the world, especially in today's environment with energy being such a topic.
Absolutely. And we talked a little bit about it before today. And we're talking about different feel-good stories and different things that our community leaders and our employees and members are doing in the community. What stories are you looking forward to hearing about the most with the podcast?
Well, the primary one is I really look forward to the members hearing about, who we are in the community, not only, especially for the employees, because I think it's really going to resonate. I'm so proud of the employees of this company, and not only, again, the work they do. I'm sure you'll talk about the safety record that we have, and how our folks do what they do, and in a safe manner that we've had years, quite a few years now of success of nobody getting hurt, and that with the outages we've experienced, with storms that we've experienced, and they still turn around, they still get the job done, and they go home at night. And that, to me, there is no store that feels better than that one. But then on top of that is, again, as we've talked about, the folks that we have that really do these other things in the community, that are church leaders, that are, coaches, that are volunteer firefighters, and so on. I just can't be more proud of that.
Absolutely. So our last question, and we're going to ask everybody this. So at Farmers RECC, we're powered by our members. That's why we do what we do every day. So we want to end each episode by asking our interviewees, who or what powers you?
The employees of this cooperative is what powers me. I've talked with folks, and I remember just recently there was a story about how some of our guys can, you go out in the field with them and they'll tell you when that house was built or when this building was built and how they were involved in getting the power to that building. And to me, when you can go out in the community and have a sense of pride that you had something to do with this community growing, I can't imagine, and I didn't do it. I've only been here 3 years. These guys did all this stuff, and the employees that have been around here, another differentiator, by the way, about a cooperative is an average tenure in a cooperative for an employee is 10 to 15 years. No other business has that.
Right.
None. Not the military, not anything has an average tenure of 10 to 15 years. People stick around and they want to be a part of it. And, when you can go around and point to it, and to me, being able to take, if I were one of those guys and being able to take my children or my family or whatever and say, I did that and I did that while you're driving around town, that's, I get to be a part of that, even though I'm not the one that did it, but I get to foster that with the employees and see them grow and see them, not mind being here and want to come to work every day because they feel like they're making a difference. That's empowering.
Absolutely. Well, with that, we'll wrap up this episode of the podcast. We're looking forward to a lot more. Like we said before, if you know somebody in our community who is doing good things, please reach out to us at social@farmersrecc.net, and maybe we can feature them on the podcast as well. So very excited about this, very excited about the future of this podcast, and we hope that you will join us again for our next one.